try this again. I have recorded this part about 15 times, and I'm going to do it this time. This time, I am going to do it, and we're going to go right on through. Alright, so, this is my first YouTube video, and as you can tell, I'm a little bit nervous, so bear with me. I am going to try my hardest to get through without muttering or stuttering or just trying not to be nervous. So, I figured today that I would talk about something that I know, and I really know customer service because I've done it for 6 years. So I figured I'd tell you guys a little bit about like the horror stories I've seen at work. And if you see me looking down, I do have my phone here because I have like marked down some stuff. So let's just get on with it. Alright, so the first thing that I wanted to talk about was returns. So I have had some pretty insane people trying to return insane things. So I had, a couple weeks ago, this is all in one day, so a couple weeks ago I had a lady come in, and she wanted to return a single Nutter butter cookie. You know those peanut-shaped cookies? I never know if I'm saying it right. But the little peanut-shaped cookies, she tried to return just one of them. Only one, not like the entire package, just one. And I was so confused by it. And she didn't want like her money back, she just wanted like 25 cents back for the cookie because it didn't have peanut butter in it. So a lot of, I don't understand why. Like, it's a quarter. A quarter's not that big of a deal. So when I told her no, she started to like destroy my store. So it was just hard for me to just tell her no. And she comes in now all the time and she tries to return one item out of the thing that she gets, and it was just insanity every time I tell her that she can't do it. And she automatically just assumes that I don't know what I'm talking about. So a little after that lady left, another guy came in and he tried to return half a jar of mayo. Not a full jar, not an empty jar, just a half jar of mayo. Because it didn't satisfy him. And in other words, that meant that he just went home, used it in whatever he wanted to use it in, and then decided he's going to try to return it. This was an older gentleman, and I told him that he had to go and talk to the company that makes it, and he just told me that, wow, you are an idiot. I can't believe you are doing this type of job. You should be working in customer service. It's just huge, big deal when you tell somebody no. And that was all in one day. It was so confusing. Like, why? What could you possibly need in life that you need to do this? But people are going to try to return things and try to get a quick dollar as much as they can. Alright, so the next thing that I wanted to talk about was money. So, when we get money, we accept any kind of money, and we hand back any type of money. So if you hand us a 10 that's crinkled up, or a 1 that's kind of torn, or anything, we'll accept it because we can either send it back out, or we can get somebody to take it at the bank. So I had like no money in my drawer, and this guy came in and he wanted $10 cash back. And that's fine, because I only had 110, but the 110 that I had happened to be crimply, and it was ripped like in a little part of the corner, and it wasn't like the best 10 in the world, but it was a 10. And it wasn't like it was ripped in half or anything, and the guy just demanded that he did not want it. And when I told him that I couldn't open my drawer to return it for him, he proceeded to scream and holler and wanted to speak to my manager. And when I called my manager over, she's like, yeah, you know what, I'll open your drawer. You just give him another 10. I didn't have another 10. I only had that 110. So I'm trying to give him this 10, and he's like, no, I will not accept this 10. I'm like, alright, well, do you want 2 5s? No, I want a 10. I'm like, well, there's no 10s in the store. So you can either keep that 10, or you can have 2 5s, or I can give you some 10 1s, or something. And he was just adamant about the fact that he did not want this 10. So we ended up just doing a whole return for him, and just said that he would have to take his business elsewhere. It was insane. I don't understand why people would just not want to take the money that people would give you. If there's nothing wrong with it, it's still a 10, but I don't get it. A little bit effort towards just making that 10 like a little less crimply, and he would have taken it, but instead he just proceeded to just yell at me and scream, and it was just nuts. Another thing, my manager came over that day and was just wondering why this person was screaming at me. I mean, I've never been screamed at. I'm really nice, so he didn't really understand like if I had said something to someone or whatever. And I said no. This person wouldn't take it because it's what a little piece of the corner was missing, and it was just, he was like, okay, well, there's nothing I can do about that. You can take it to a bank and see if they can give you a crispier one or whatever, but I don't get why he didn't want the 10. It was just a regular 10. There was nothing wrong with it besides that little, like, besides it being just a little bit crinkled, and it was just, it was insane. So, alright, so the next story I wanted to talk to you about was, so in customer service, if you're leaning, that means you can be cleaning, and I was leaning one time, and my manager came over, and she yelled at me, said that I needed to go and clean something, because they were watching the cameras, which is fine, because my manager's not really that mean about it, but I ended up going to sweep up some of the aisles, and I had walked down to the toy aisle, which is kind of towards the back. So I walked into the toy aisle, and lo and behold, what is in the middle of the toy aisle? Somebody had pooped in the toy aisle, and it wasn't a child. It wasn't like a child's poop. Like, it wasn't small. It was like huge, and it was just in the middle of my store. And I'm sitting there. I was sitting there for about 2-3 hours, just wondering why the store smelled like but it was because somebody had like pooped in the middle of my store, and I'm only a customer service representative, so I can't go and clean up bodily fluids. So I had to leave that aisle with shit in the middle of it, and go up and ask my manager to come back and clean it up. And he was dumbfounded, because it wasn't something that we're used to seeing. I mean, not many people go into our store and just like take a shit. Like, we don't have a bathroom, I'm sorry, but there is one next door, and there's no reason for anybody to take a shit in the middle of our floor, but they did. And I still laugh about it today, because it was terrible. There was nothing that we could do about it, and I don't know who did it. I mean, obviously we couldn't tell who did it, but it was just, it was insane. It was disgusting. It smelled so bad, and I felt so bad because my manager had to be the one to clean it up, and he just did not want to do it. And I felt bad, but there was nothing that I could do because I'm not allowed to. Speaking of like bodily fluids, listen, I'm not mean to anybody, honestly. I had this gentleman come in, and he asked us if we had a bathroom, and I said no, we don't have a bathroom that customers have access to, because their bathroom is way behind delivery, where we get delivery, and it's in the back room. So he ended up going outside. Now I work in a plaza, so there's a couple stores. There's me, and there's a grocery store, and then there's a liquor store, which the grocery store has a bathroom. He proceeded to go out while we were doing truck, while we were getting stuff in, and pee on a bunch of boxes. Now, we can't sell any of the boxes because they're all ruined, and I told him that we didn't have a bathroom, but we did have one next door, and then he's like, okay, I'll be right back. I'm going to go next door and use the bathroom. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll just keep your stuff here on the counter. And the guy left. and my manager was outside taking stuff off truck, and he walked over, said, "Hi, how you doing?" and then just whipped his thing out and proceeded to pee all over the boxes that were coming in. Some of them were food, some of them were ironically toilet paper. It was just insane how somebody could just go and do that without even any consideration for the things that we have to do, because my manager had to go and pick them up because it was, like I said, the customer service reps aren't allowed to touch it. So he had to go and clean it up, and we aren't allowed to sell those products, so that's a loss on us. And they were wondering like if I had yelled at the person, and no, I just told him nicely that we didn't have a restroom that he could use. And the way that he acted and proceeded to go and just pee on the things out there is just not, it's very childish. Everything that happens in my store is so childish. Like, a lot of people, I don't understand how a lot of people even like function. If you're gonna be that rude to someone it's just ridiculous. You can't be that rude to someone and expect them to not say anything. Okay, so a while back, I worked at McDonald's, and I had a customer come in one night. I used to do overnight, so I used to work 11 to 5, 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. And I had a customer come in, and he was obviously drunk. He was coming through the drive-thru, and he had ordered his food very nicely and politely. And then he got up to the window. Now I did back cash, so I was just taking cash, not handing out food, and he was just taking cash. So I took his cash, and he proceeded to hit on me, and I was very like scared. Like I didn't want this person hitting on me. At the time I had a boyfriend, and I didn't want him to hit on me. He was an older gentleman. He was like 40, and he got so mad at me when I told him that I had a boyfriend and he just needed to pull up right now. And so his meal was like $1.06. He paid for it and all in change. And he, instead of just handing me the change, no, after I had told him that I had a boyfriend and he would have to pull up, he proceeded to throw the money through the window of McDonald's. I'm like, why on earth would you do that? He paid for it all in change, so there was quarters and dimes and everything all over the floor. And my manager heard all this stuff hitting the window and the floor and didn't do anything. She just kind of sat there and was like, yeah, if those people are drunk, that's what we're going to get right now. But didn't do anything about it, and I was very upset about it because I felt threatened. These people were throwing their money through the window because I didn't want to give him my number. And it was ridiculous how someone can be like that when they're drunk, and I was not having it. Again, I worked at McDonald's, so we would do drive-thru, and in the middle of the afternoon, we got a lady who came in and ordered 150 cheeseburgers. We don't make that much meat because it'll go bad, so we were like, alright, that's fine, but you are going to have to pull up. This is over the intercom, and she said, yeah, that's fine, I'll pull up when, after I pay and everything. And I was like, alright, that's fine. So she got up to her window, and she got up to my window, and she was giving me her money, and I said, yeah, that's fine, but can you just pull up? And she's like, well, why do I have to pull up? Why do I need to do this? This is a fast food restaurant. The food should be prepared fast. I'm like, well, you ordered 100 cheeseburgers, and we wanted to give them to you fresh, and we didn't have that much on hand because it would end up going bad, so can you just pull up? She refused to pull up for 15 minutes. I was sitting there arguing with her, trying to get her to pull up, and she just would not pull up, and there was nothing that I could say or do, even though she had said back at the intercom that it was fine. It was fine that she would pull up after she paid, and I don't know how someone could flip a switch so quickly from the the intercom to Bad Cash isn't that far. Granted, if it was far, how could you say one thing and then just mean another? And it was just, she started screaming and screaming and screaming at me, saying I'm the most inconsiderate person ever, and I just didn't know how to do my job, and that I shouldn't be doing a job that I didn't know how to do. I've been there long enough, so I should know how to do it. And she was giving me all kinds of attitude, and it was just, why would you want to ruin someone's day if, if why would you come to a fast food restaurant and order so much food? If you had come inside, we had told you would have been fine waiting. But why would you go through drive-through and order? And we had said to her that if next time she ever has to order food like this, she should call ahead and we can make it for her. And she was like, I'm not gonna call ahead. This is a fast food restaurant, so why should I have to call ahead? And some people just, I don't understand how some people can be like that. Like, I'm so nice to people, and I won't yell at them or anything, and I won't scream or anything at them, and I was so dumbfounded as to how this lady was screaming at me when I hadn't done anything to her. Alright, so I guess that's it. I mean, I do have more stories, but this is going to be a long video. So, thank you for watching, and please subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thumbs up if you did.